across the country that would severely restrict the ability of law-abiding citizens to buy and to own firearms. Bill Tucker has our report.
You're more than 4 times as likely to die in a fire-related accident as by a gun accident. Firearms have the lowest rate of accidental deaths per 100,000 of the accidental deaths tracked by the National Safety Council. But that hasn't stopped efforts to impose tighter restrictions on gun ownership. In New Jersey, there's legislation pending to limit gun owners to 1 gun purchase per 30 days. The National Rifle Association says legislation in New York would outlaw firearms based on what they look like and how they are assembled with no testing procedures spelled out. Groups supporting gun ownership say the New York bill would give the state police unlimited and arbitrary power. They say the crackdown on guns is misplaced.
Gun control legislation has never been shown to do anything to dissuade criminals from getting guns or to make it difficult for them.
If someone wants to commit a crime with a gun, they don't have to go through legal channels, as legitimate gun owners and collectors do. The state bill that has the most attention at the moment is in Illinois. That bill would require a gun owner to carry at least $1 million in liability insurance. The sponsor defends his bill, saying,
we have house insurance, we have car insurance, we have a gun that's one of the most dangerous piece of instruments in our house or within our lives that can cause and does irreparable damage. Why not have insurance on that?
In addition to legislation at the state level, there is also legislation pending in Congress. You know, what has everybody's attention at the moment is H.R. 45 that's currently in committee. Gun owners are alarmed at this bill because it would require every gun they own to be registered and every registration to be renewed every 5 years. The way the gun owners see it, opponents to gun ownership and Second Amendment rights simply want to strip away that right by simply making it too expensive and too bureaucratic to own guns.
Right, it's obvious, it's transparent, it's blatant, it's an assault on the Second Amendment.
Absolutely.
Bill Tucker, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, joining me now is Stephen Halbrook. He's research fellow at the Independent Institute. He is the author of the Founders' Second Amendment. It is great to have you with us.
Good to be on the show, Lou.
The idea of this legislation, whether in Congress, whether in state legislators, this is such a blatant assault on the Second Amendment, the use of taxation, the use of bureaucratic regulation to stifle the Second Amendment, individual rights of gun ownership. I mean, this is outrageous. Do you think that, is there a likelihood that any of this would succeed?
Well, just when you think that we have enough prison population in our country, we have proposals to create landmines for gun owners for exercise of Second Amendment rights. We have an attorney general who advocated 5 years incarceration for unregistered firearms. In other words, if your papers are not in order, you could go to prison for 5 years. The same attorney general who, in a previous office, advocated a pardon of terrorists. So what we are dealing with between that, H.R. 45, the Rush bill in Congress, that would create a central registration of all gun owners in the United States. If you don't have it registered, if you're not licensed, you could go to prison for a substantial period of time.
Well, why in the world are we tolerating this assault on what is an individual right, guaranteed? I mean, imagine this. If you were to apply these kinds of restrictions against our other individual rights in the Bill of Rights, I mean, there would be a march on Washington, D.C. tomorrow. There might be considerably more in the way of a powerful social reaction. Why is this being accepted?
Well, how would you like it if you had to get...
Well, answer my question first.
Well, it's crazy. We have a new administration. We have a lot of people who have advocated prohibitionist policies in the past, draconian legislation to make gun ownership difficult. We had a Supreme Court last term that held the Second Amendment an individual right. It's like the Empire Strikes Back. The District of Columbia got its law invalidated, its handgun ban, and so what does it do? It creates a law that you've got to re-register a gun every 3 years or you go to prison if you neglect to do so. Why is this happening now? It's difficult to say, but the proposals get more and more extreme. We get the $1 million insurance proposal in Illinois, for example. And notice what happens if you don't have the insurance. In that state, you have to have a firearms owner's identity card, and if you don't have that, it's a felony offense. And if you don't get the insurance, then your FOID card is invalidated.
Yeah, I think if the folks in Illinois accept that, then we've got the republic, at least they do, in Illinois they deserve. You testified against Attorney General Eric Holder at his confirmation hearing. Why so?
Well, Mr. Holder advocated policies for gun owners adverse to the Second Amendment. He signed on to an amicus brief in the Heller case in the Supreme Court saying that nobody has Second
Heller case
Amendment
being the
rights.
Washington, D.C. Handgun ban
Correct.
overturned by the Supreme Court.
He said that you as an individual have no rights under the Second Amendment. He supported legislation when he was a member of the Reno Justice Department that would have created not only central registration of gun owners, making any private transfer of a gun a felony unless you had a background check. If you give a gun to your son for Christmas, you're a felon if you don't get a background check.
I'm sorry, we're way over here, but I appreciate you being with us. Thank you very much.
Glad to be here, Lou.
Stephen
Thank you.
Halbrook. Coming up next year, record low ratings for last night's Oscars. We'll tell you what happened.